Lane and kind of share with us your background and how you made this journey to where you're at now.
Well, it's really hard to figure out. I just kind of, as far as ended up being an NBA chaplain, it really is something I just kind of found out that I was going to become an NBA chaplain. But my background has been, well, for the last 30 years, has been pretty much around sports and education. I spent 18 years coaching basketball in Detroit, coaching middle school basketball at Burton International School. And if you're familiar with Burton, great tradition. Had a lot of success. I coached the boys and the girls, and did a lot of youth ministry work, and still do in Detroit through my home church, New St. Paul Tabernacle Church of God in Christ in Detroit on the west side, and so just working because I work with our state youth department, which we had. So I've been coordinating youth ministry for like 90 churches across the state for many years. So just a lot of youth involvement and, working with young people, and then a lot of community work. And so it's an interesting story how I became an NBA chaplain. And then, of course, myself, I've been a gym rat my whole life. So as an adult, just playing in different competitive leagues around Detroit until I got to age 49, So,
Okay.
So from coaching, and then all my kids played basketball, so I have 4 kids who play basketball. So I was just around, sports, baseball, basketball for many years. And so a friend of mine who actually went to my church, he was a state police lieutenant, and he was retiring. He had played, former basketball player, played at Northern Michigan. And so he said, "Hey, man, when I retire, I want to do security for the NBA." And I said, "Wow, that's awesome." And which he did that. And he started doing team security for the Pistons. Then he left and went to Cleveland and was there when LeBron won his championships and those things. Okay. And then so when Detroit moved to Little Caesars in Detroit, they called him and said, "Hey, man, you want to come back home?" So they brought him back to Detroit. And when they made that move, the chaplain they had out in Auburn Hills couldn't make that drive. So they asked him, they said, "Hey, Rod, we need a new chaplain. Do you know anybody?" He said, "I got the perfect guy for you." And so that's how it happened. It's not something I was trying to do, but it's the same type of work that I've been doing, working with young people, guiding and mentoring, encouraging young athletes, to have a full life. And so, yeah, so I really don't know how to tell anyone else to become one, because I'm like, what?
Fair enough. Now, Mr. Wynne, putting you on the spot a little bit, as we love to do on this youth mentorship podcast. You played youth sports, you've coached youth sports over the decades. What do you think are the biggest differences for youth back then, like 80s and 90s, and youth now? Thinking about like the different challenges, the different pressures and stressors.
Oh yeah, I mean the culture is very different. The climate is very different, and that's good and bad. So they have some advantages that young people didn't have, 20, 30 years ago. And they have some challenges that frankly didn't even exist, So I would say, well, I'll give you the challenge, the negatives first. I don't say negatives, but realities maybe.
So harsh realities.
Harsh reality, opportunities to participate in sports have dwindled. It's just not like it used to be. One of the things I'm passionate about, I've been having some meetings with some key people around Detroit, is you don't see the church league anymore. What's a church league? You say that now, kids don't know what you're talking about. But back in the day, that was a staple of every
Facts.
community. Hey, I can't play for my school, but I'm gonna play in the church league. And
Facts.
so you get those experiences. And so I would say that's a huge difference. Just the lack of opportunity. One of the differences now is kids are almost encouraged to specialize in one sport. Figure out the one thing that you can do, put all your energy and effort into it. So, but there are some challenges with that. One, it limits the number of opportunities kids have to participate. And then it also puts, in my opinion, undue stress on your body because you're just constantly working the same muscles in the same spot. So you see a lot of knee problems and back problems or shoulder problems because you're just constantly working the same part over and over and over. And then you do all of that when there's just limited spots for high school teams, college teams, pros, so that part is different. Some of the advantages though that wow, I just marvel at, and I'm trying to use some of those with my grandchildren, is, for example, YouTube. Oh my goodness.
Information with a
Man,
click, simple click.
you used to have to wait for each summer to hope you can get into a good summer basketball camp, for example. You don't have to wait anymore. I mean, you can learn all kinds of skills right at home, practice them in your basement, and just perfect your game. Develop your craft. So that's a huge advantage. The world is small. They can communicate with players from all over the country, where you had to wait and hope you get selected to an AAU opportunity to travel and meet other kids from other places. So, it balances out.
Now, my current 9 to 5, so when I'm not podcasting on the weekends, my 9 to 5 job, I'm a police co-response behavioral health specialist. So tag team with the Detroit Police Department. We have a crisis intervention team. It's called a CIT. And we go out to mental health crisis response calls. And, obviously, we deal with a lot of adults that have mental health challenges, but then their children are left to, kind of fend for themselves sometimes. Where would you find the benefits of sports and faith and being able to provide these kids with like a way to strengthen their minds, bodies, and spirit? Where does faith and sports kind of tie in all this?
Well, it's just amazing that you brought that up, because that is really the motivation behind me trying to find a way to resurrect the church league, quote unquote. Wow. I've been talking to some of my good friends over at FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and so basically what we're trying to do is put together a situation where you have people who are very good at coaching, but they may not have the skill set, for the mentoring part and the spiritual guidance part. So we want to partner them with youth sports chaplains, so they come alongside, and that way, for example, if a student or young person is on a team, the team is doing more than just practicing their sport, but they'll have FCA, they call them huddles, which is another way of saying Bible studies, and I want to expand it to life skill sessions as well. So even in my coaching experience, even at the middle school level, I always had a study table every day. Just like college. I mean, the first hour of practice was getting your homework done and, mastering yourself as a student. But then we also had sessions where we dealt with life, and I believe that really is the powerful opportunity of the gospel. I'm a practical theologist, so I believe in presenting the gospel to people in a way that they can apply it when they leave the session. We don't just clap and shout and, woo, it felt good, and then lost the rest of the week. And so I believe that youth sports provide that vehicle. Many churches that I talk to, they're frustrated that they don't have young people in their churches. I mean, they can't find them. And I'm like, go where they are.
Yeah.
They're on
Yeah.
video games and they're in gymnasiums. So, I'm just encouraging people of faith to connect in those areas. I used to do uh, uh, many years ago. We used to do video game tournaments.
Okay.
Before it became a professional big thing. It was just me trying to find ways to engage young people, meet them where they are.
Uh-huh.
So we open up the church, man. We bring our own systems, and go to
Mhm.
rent a center and get a TV for each one, and then we get trophies. If you're doing the race car game, you got a little race car trophy, that kind of thing.
Nice.
But in that, and we run it just like a NCAA tournament. I mean, we have brackets up there and the whole nine. But then, as a part of that, we got to address their spiritual needs and their mental health needs. Just giving them a place where they can sit back and reflect on who they are and dream a little bit.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you know, with each podcast episode, I like to take something from each guest. And I like to, whether it's recycling it or just, putting it out in the text and copying and pasting it in. One thing I took from you already is meeting youth where they are at. In my experience, work with young people. So I grew up in Detroit, but I also lived in Colorado. I was a youth corrections officer in the largest youth correctional facility in Colorado, Lookout Mountain Youth Services Center. And, some of our youth, they had committed murder or multiple murders. Some were going to do adult time. And I noticed that when I did have success reaching some of the young the youth offenders, it was by meeting them where they were at. So that's definitely some jewels of wisdom that you reminded me about. Now, is there a certain Pistons player that you would say reminds you of your younger self?
Oh my.
Put you on the spot again.
Oh, reminds you of a younger me? Wow. I I know you're not talking about athletically.
Anything that kind of turns the button on, like, okay, it's like looking in the mirror in the past.
Wow. No, I can't say that I've seen it and remind me of myself. They are really just outstanding young men. I mean, they're very disciplined and focused, man. And I was a little bit all over the place. I mean, I had my focus, but I had so many different folks. I mean, but they're
Okay.
very disciplined at such a young age. I mean, when the age of most of our guys, I was in college at that time. These guys are professionals.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of hard.
That's a tough
I
one.
never think of my people when I think of them. Not at that age. Wow. Yeah, they are what I used to hope I could be. Of course, like half the guys in Detroit, I had hoop dreams. Something I wanted to do. But clearly, I was more built for praying in the NBA than playing in the NBA.
Fair enough. Now, probably an even tougher question we'd like to ask our guests at the end as we, conclude here. If you were coming up with a movie about your life story, one, what would be the title of that movie? And two, which actor would play you?
Oh, great one. Oh, great one. Oh, that's a good one.
Heavy hitters.
What would be the title of the movie about my life? Wow. That's a great one. Let me think about who could play me.
All right.
Wow. Um, First of all, I don't know many actors' names.
All right.
So
That's fair.
that's one challenge. I guess it would be in different phases. Wow, that's a really good. Well, I have a play nephew who's a great actor. So Antoine Jackson,
Right.
Detroit actor.
Okay.
He definitely could play me because he's somebody that I've been mentoring for many many years,
Okay.
and he's having super success. And many of the things that I've taught, he's embraced, and he would definitely get
Nice.
my vibe. And
Okay.
so yeah, Antoine Jackson would be
That's
my
one
choice.
Rex.
And he's
Okay.
better looking than me, so of course you always gotta
You want to
level
be
up, man.
represented well on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Um, that's a great question. Okay, so
The
what
title,
would
that's
be,
that's an even tougher one too.
yeah, the title? Um, hmm. Born to Win.
Okay. Born to win.
Play on words using my name, Win.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, you got
And
to help me remember what I said too.
born to win. I'm loving it. And last but not least, what advice would you have for our young ones coming up that are going through typical life challenges, whether it's a family dysfunction, challenges in the classroom, or just battling personal demons?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. So, um, I always start with I'm very big on purpose. And so I would encourage every young person to connect to your purpose in life. You have to
Okay.
find your purpose in life, and your purpose in life is always connected to, um, where you came from, not what city you came from, but where you came from. You got to know where you came from. You have to know what it is you're supposed to be doing. You have
Yes,
to know
sir.
what you're able to do,
Yes, sir.
right? And you have to know why you're here. Try to figure out why you were born at the time you were born, to the family you were born to, and why you have the gifts and talents that you have. Why is your personality the way it is? I was always a sort of a comedian in school, a little bit of a class clown, kind of, in my own way. But I'm always known for smiling. I've probably been smiling on your podcast. But I found out I used to use my humor. Back in the day, we would play the dozens and crack on people. And
I
I was
remember
very
the Dirty
talented at it.
Dozens.
I was very talented at it. I was very good, very creative. And but God taught me. He said to me, "I gave you that talent not to tear people down, but to build people
Okay.
up." So you have to find. And so now that's what I do. When people hang out with me and we get done, you're gonna feel better. So I use my
Amen to that.
energy to bring people to a better place. And so I encourage young people, find out why your personality is the way it is. You don't have to become someone different, but tap into the purpose, God's intent for why he made you the way he made you. And then, when your purpose, when your talent lines up with his purpose, you'll be, as we say in baseball or golf, you'll hit that sweet spot. Meaning, when you hit that sweet spot, you don't feel it when you hit the ball. I mean, that's when you hit it in the perfect spot. You hit that ball perfectly because you didn't feel the connect. It was just the exact right spot. And so when you connect your purpose and your talents to what God wanted for your life, it's painless. No matter what you're going through, you won't even you won't be hindered, from being who you are. You'll still have to deal with whatever you're dealing with, but you'll always be able to do it as yourself, and you are good enough. you know God don't make any junk.
Amen to that.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Wynne, I want to thank you, for taking time out of your schedule and for the blessings, words of wisdom, continual blessings to you as well, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. It's my honor and pleasure. And I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. You're making a huge
Appreciate you.
impact. And we're going to have to connect even further
Oh, for
after
sure.
this podcast, man.
For sure.
Yeah. I heard some things in my spirit.
Amen to that. Amen
Yes,
to
sir.
that.
Got to tap into your wisdom.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir. Thank you, Mr. Wynne.
All right. Thank you so much. God bless everybody.
Bless you. Bye-bye.